Noam Chomsky observed that settler colonialism is the most extreme and vicious form of imperialism. Settler colonialism is about eliminating the natives. The Palestinians have had the misfortune over the last century of being at the receiving end of Zionist settler colonialism on one hand and Western imperialism, first under Britain and then under America on the other hand. In 2005, Israel withdrew unilaterally from the Gaza Strip, and it became fashionable to describe Gaza as the biggest open-air prison in the world. This metaphor hasn't kept up with reality, because in prison, at least you have a roof over your head, you have safety, you get water and food and medical attention. None of these conditions obtain for the people of Gaza today. Since the 7th of October, Israel has turned the Gaza Strip into an open-air graveyard, a desolate wasteland, a place of death and despair. This war is presented as one between Israel and Hamas, but it isn't just that. In a broader sense, it's a war between Israel and America against the people of Gaza, against the Palestinian people, and in a broader sense, against the Palestinian national movement. After the first Israeli assault on Gaza in 2008, Operation Cast Lead, the Goldstone report concluded that this Cast Lead was not just directed at Hamas. In a broader sense, it was an attack on the whole people, the civilian population of Gaza. It was, quote, a deliberately disproportionate use of force to punish, humiliate, and terrorize the people of Gaza. By my count, this is the 8th Israeli military offensive in Gaza, but it is by far the most destructive, the bloodiest, and the most lethal. And the death toll so far already exceeds the total of the casualties in all previous 7 attacks on Gaza. Hamas is regularly described in the West as a terrorist organization. Israeli leaders increasingly identify it and compare it with ISIS. But it has to be remembered that in January 2006, Hamas won a fair and free election and won an absolute majority and proceeded to form a government. That government offered Israel negotiations on a long-term ceasefire. Israel refused to negotiate. More significantly, this government moderated the political program of Hamas from one unitary Palestinian state, Muslim state, from the river to the sea, to a Palestinian state on the 1967 borders. Israel refused to recognize the Hamas government, and the Western powers, the United States and the European Union, to their eternal shame, joined with Israel in refusing to recognize this democratically elected government and in resorting to economic warfare to undermine it. In 2007, Hamas and Fatah formed a national unity government. My friend Mustafa Barghouti was the Minister of Information in that government. This was a moderate government which once again offered Israel negotiations on a long-term ceasefire. Once again, Israel refused to negotiate, and its Western powers backed it in this refusal. And then, as we know from the Palestine papers, there was a plot to drive Hamas out of power. The participants in this plot were Israel, Fatah, America, and military intelligence. They formed a secret committee, the Gaza Committee, whose purpose was to isolate, weaken, and then drive Hamas out of power. America and Israel armed and encouraged Fatah to mount a coup against Hamas. And Hamas, in June 2007, to preempt the Fatah coup, seized power in Gaza. After the Hamas seizure of power in Gaza, Israel imposed a blockade, which is a form of collective punishment prescribed by international law. And this vicious blockade has been in force for the last 16 years. Today, America is not just complicit in Israel's war crimes, it is the enabler of these war crimes. America gives Israel military support and diplomatic protection. America has used the veto on the Security Council 42 times to defeat resolutions that are not to Israel's liking. The problem with American support for Israel is that it is unconditional. It's unconditional. Israel doesn't have to pay any price for its war crimes. This is why Israel has been getting away literally with murder and is continuing to get away literally with murder and genocide. The worst American use of the veto was in the Security Council recently, when there was a resolution for a ceasefire. 13 members of the Security Council voted for, Britain abstained, and America alone defeated a ceasefire. So there could have been a ceasefire some time ago, but due to America, there isn't one. America says it is trying to prevent the spread of the conflict from Gaza. But the conflict in Gaza, the Israeli assault on the Palestinians, has already activated the axis of resistance. America sent 2 aircraft carriers to the region, ostensibly to deter Iran and Hezbollah. But what does this mean in practice? In practice, it means that America says to Israel, you can carry on with the carnage and the destruction. We will protect you. We will prevent Iran from weighing into this conflict. In effect, America is giving Israel warrant for genocide. This war in Gaza is the cruel climax of the unholy alliance between Zionist settler colonialism and American imperialism. You may have noticed on the list of speakers that I appear as Abraham Shlaim. Abraham is my real name. Avi is the calling name. But for the absence of doubt, I want to make it clear that the Abraham Accords are not named after me. In fact, I strongly oppose the Abraham Accords because they are not peace agreements between democratic societies. They are transactional agreements between authoritarian Arab rulers and an apartheid state. As far as the Arab signatories of the Abraham Agreements are concerned, this amounts to a stab in the back to the Palestinians. I would like to end on a personal note, if I may. I'm an Arab Jew. I was born in Baghdad and I grew up in Israel. My Iraqi birth certificate gives my name, my first name is Ibrahim. So I am the real Ibrahim al-Baghdadi. The other chap is a fake. He stole my identity. I'm proud of my Arab heritage, and I'm equally proud of my Jewish heritage. The three pillars of Judaism are truth, justice, and peace. The Netanyahu government is the opposite of these core Jewish values. It is the most aggressive, expansionist, overtly racist, and Jewish supremacist government in Israel's history. The essence of Judaism is non-violence. The present government is the antithesis of this essence. As a Jew and an Israeli, I therefore feel that I have a moral duty to denounce Zionist settler colonialism and American imperialism, and to stand by the Palestinians in their anti-colonial struggle, in their just struggle to live in peace and dignity on their own land. Thank you for listening.